Hey guys, I am doing another 5 of my favorite products from 5 of my favorite brands. I've done this twice already. You guys seem to really love these videos, so I thought, why don't we just keep going? I definitely have more brands to talk about. Obviously, we are here today, and I also wanted to just gush about how excited I was that Alana Davison here on YouTube did this video, and she shouted me out. She, as you guys know, she is one of my favorite YouTubers here. I've been watching her since she was in university. So long time. She was one of the OG YouTubers that I watched. Definitely one of the inspirations for me to start my channel. So I just wanted to say thank you to Alana for shouting me out. And I think some of you have come over from her channel. So welcome, and again, just a big thank you. So let's go ahead and jump into this list. I'm going to try and make this quick and snappy, unlike my other 5 favorite products from 5 of my favorite brands. But we're going to start with Guerlain. Guerlain is known for their bronzers. They're also known for their fragrances. I believe they're the oldest perfume house ever, or in France. And they also are the ones that created the bronzer for the first time, like back in the 80s. So I did want to mention one of their bronzers first. This is the Terracotta Light, the Sun-Kissed Healthy Glow Powder, light and long lasting. And I have it in the shade 01 Light Warm. And they have so many different bronzers. All of the names are just slightly different from one another. But what I really like about this bronzer is it has all of those different shades in those spokes around this entire pan. And this light warm, you'll see it has like peachy tones in there. The 00, which I believe is light cool, instead of the peachy spokes, they have more of like a pink colored spoke. So I just really love this bronzer because it is very, very natural looking. A lot of the Guerlain bronzers can lean very, very orange, very warm on the skin. And when it comes to orange bronzers, I think you have to be really careful with them. Otherwise you enter like Oompa Loompa land. So I really enjoy this one because the like brown colored spokes are neutral, and then we've got that peach. So it just keeps the bronzer just looking very, very natural. The peach spokes in here also have a little bit of a shimmer too. And I've come to really appreciate matte bronzers. I think they definitely have their place. I definitely lean towards them more in like the fall, winter. But I generally just really like cheek products that have a little bit of sheen to them because I have such dry skin. So this bronzer from Guerlain kind of just does everything for me. It has like a satin sheen. The tone of it isn't too warm. It just has like a little bit of peachiness to it. And because of that peachiness, you can also use it as like a bronzer blush. You know, if you just want to kind of kill 2 steps with one, you can kind of use this for both. So I really enjoy this. It does have the terracotta scent to it. And it's one of those scents I feel like you either love it or you hate it because it smells like suntan lotion, but like a really strong suntan lotion. I've gotten used to it. At first I did not like it, and now I love it. Now I think because I have so many terracotta products, it's become like a nostalgic scent for me. So anyway, just wanted to mention that, but that's my first Guerlain product. And I do have that on my face today. I can't remember if I mentioned that. And I meant to film me putting on as much of the products as I'm talking about today, but I forgot. I just started putting my makeup on. So I apologize, but I do have that on pretty much all over. Pretty much all over. So anyway, moving on. Another product that I am wearing, and this is the second product from Guerlain that I wanted to mention, is the L'Essentiel Natural Glow Foundation. As a 16-hour wear. And this is the one that comes in that like tilted bottle. I have it in the shade 02N, and it is what I'm wearing today. It has such a lovely creamy texture, and it gives you this light medium, definitely buildable to like a solid medium kind of coverage. And it's really just a beautiful foundation. I don't feel like it's especially glowy. It's definitely not matte. It's very, very skin-like. And this shade matches really, really well for me. And the 16-hour claim on here, I can't say that I've ever tested it for 16 hours. I don't wear my makeup for that long. But I have done full day wear tests with this, and it is really long wearing. It is very, very lovely. And it's surprising because of how creamy the texture is for this foundation. I really thought it wasn't going to last longer than like 8 hours or so, but it definitely is very long wearing. This does also have a fragrance. Guerlain being a perfume house, it's not really a surprise. But the fragrance is so unique and it's really so beautiful. It smells like sweet almonds, and I just really, really enjoy it. I know a lot of people are bothered by fragrance, which is why I pointed out, but I did just want to mention that it is very unique and I really enjoy it. So that is the L'Essentiel foundation, number 2 for Guerlain. Number 3 for Guerlain is a product that is fairly old. I think it was limited edition, but I just looked it up and it's still available, thank goodness. But this is the Terracotta Highlighter Stick in Nude. And if you guys have been watching me for at least a couple of years, I loved and love this highlighter stick. It is gorgeous. And they came out with a couple of different shades, I believe. I picked up Nude because it was the one that seemed to kind of suit my skin tone the most. And innocent enough, looks like a typical highlight stick, but let me just show you the highlight. It is beaming, absolutely beaming, and a little bit goes a long way. So it's one of those sticks that I don't necessarily feel comfortable just swiping because you will look like you're from outer space. So I just like to tap my finger on this and just sort of tap it onto my cheek very, very lightly because it is bold. It is a very, very bold highlight. For a stick highlight, you know, I run into a lot of stick highlights that come off and they're kind of oily or they're too dry. This really has like the perfect texture. It glides right on, but it's not oily or greasy or anything like that. It doesn't break up. It wears for a very long time. It's lovely. It's lovely. And I was so happy to see that this was still available. So this is number 3 for Guerlain. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to mention this product. I thought maybe mentioning a perfume would muddy the waters here, but since Guerlain is a perfume house and I do love this so much, I thought I would mention the Herba Fresca. This is a super light, slightly sweet, citrusy, fruity kind of scent. It is perfect for the spring, summertime, at least for me. It's so bright, it's so happy, it's very, very joyful. And I am gonna spray some right now, actually. I love it so much. And it's very, very light. It definitely is not one of those scents where I feel like I wake up the next day and I can still smell it. It's not that intense. It's just really light and refreshing. And like I said, it's just perfect for these warmer months. So I've been pulling it out, using it a little bit more lately. And so I thought I would mention it, but that is the Herba Fresca. There's a whole line of the Aqua Allegoria scents from Guerlain. These are their like lighter, brighter scents, and I don't think there's one that I don't like. I think I've smelled all of them, but I really, really enjoy Herba Fresca. Last but certainly not least for Guerlain are their meteorites. I love their meteorites. I use the shade Medium, which is part of their regular meteorites line. They do come out with limited edition meteorites, which I have plenty of. I'm sure you guys have seen it when I've done collection videos and stuff. But this medium shade is perfect for me, and I use it as finishing powder. And I learned how to use this as finishing powder from Tara Babies here on YouTube. She uses it as a finishing powder, last step, and she buffs it into her skin. And so I like to use it with the Sonia G Face 1 brush or the smooth buffer brush, which is just a little bit smaller, as you can see. Either one works beautifully with it, and I'll just work it into my skin. And when you use one of those Sonia G brushes and you buff it in, it's like you're just polishing your skin. Your skin will end up looking like marble. It is really just breathtaking. Every time I do it, I'm like, oh, I just have to sit back and like admire the finish on my skin. It's just gorgeous. So the meteorites from Guerlain, definitely. I mean, if I was doing these in order, this would have been number 1. Okay, next brand I'm gonna talk about is WESTMAN Atelier. The first thing I have to talk about are her iPods. And you know, when I make these lists, I try and be really specific. Like if I mention a blush or something, I want to talk about like which shade of blush is actually in my top 5. So when it comes to the iPods, my favorite is Tabak from the Leisure iPod set. So it's the one that comes in the gold case, and it is, you can see I love it so much. There's a huge dent in there, but it's a beautiful, like very warm color taupe. And when you spread it out onto your lids, there is a very strong kind of like peach undertone to it. And so it's like a warm taupe, and it's just really, really beautiful. It has a gorgeous satin sheen, but no micro glitters or anything like that. But you just get this beautiful like reflect on your lids. It's gorgeous, perfect one and done. It works beautifully with the other shades in the iPod. So the Westman Atelier iPods come with 3 shades in one. And I just love it. You can use it with your finger, you can use it with a brush, it applies beautifully. And Westman Atelier is like a clean beauty brand. So there are no silicones in here, which is incredible considering this is like a putty kind of textured product. And for her to have come up with some sort of silicone-free formula for this is just incredible. So I really, really love this, which leads me to the second product on my Westman Atelier list. And again, it was like the Herba Fresca for Guerlain. I didn't know if I should mention a tool. I didn't really want to muddy the waters in these lists, but I had to mention the Baby Blender brush because this has become my go-to brush for cream eyeshadows. And that's generally what I use for the iPods. So it is synthetic haired, handmade in Japan, and it has just like the perfect domed top to it. And if you're someone like me that is just really into the one and done eyeshadow, this is absolutely perfect. You just load up the brush, apply, and this brush will just blend it out and you're done. It just makes such quick work of applying cream shadows. I really love it. I think Gucci Westman designed this actually to be like a cheek brush for like maybe highlights or something, but I love it for the eyes. I always reach for it for the eyes. So that's the Baby Blender brush from Westman Atelier, number 2 on my list. Number 3 on my list is the Lit Up Highlight Stick in Nectar. This is one of Westman Atelier's newer products. This is the highlight that I am wearing today. I have a blush on that has a little bit of a sheen to it, but this right here is the highlight stick. It is just beautiful. It is really, really perfect for a wide range of skin tones because it does have like a translucency to it. It is a cream, obviously it's a cream product. It comes in stick form. And so when you blend it on, it's not opaque, you know, it's not like this opaque kind of layer of highlight. It really lets the skin underneath kind of shine through, which is why I feel like it's really versatile in terms of different skin tones. But the tone of it is just a little warm, you know, it's not too warm, it's not too orangey, but you can see that peachiness to it. And when you actually apply it, there's just this beautiful, smooth, glossy finish to it. So it's one of those really kind of like healthy, no makeup kind of highlights. It's almost like, is she just glowing? Like what's going on there? So that is number 3 on my Westman Atelier list. Next, I have to talk about the Baby Cheeks blush stick, and I have all but 1 shade. I have 5 of them, and I believe she has 6 in total. And like I just said, I didn't want to just say, oh, all of her blush sticks, I just love them. I really wanted to pick out the one shade that let's say if they were all to disappear, the one that I would run out and purchase. And I think that would be Pop It, because it is just so beautiful and so much fun. And I think in cream form, it's perfect because you can apply cream blushes very, very sheerly. And this is definitely a blush that, well, maybe you do. Maybe you want to go in really heavy-handed with this, but I like to make sure that I'm applying it in this really kind of like light wash where it just gives you that brightness. It's very, very youthful. Like it'll give you doll cheeks. And I just love it. It is what you would consider, I guess, a cooler shade because I do see a little bit of purple in there, but I just find that I could wear this with pretty much any kind of makeup look. It just goes well with pretty much anything I've paired it with. So that is the Baby Cheeks blush stick in Pop It. And the formula is wonderful, as you could see. It just glides on and it blends out beautifully. And last but not least, I had to take it back. This is probably the first product from Westman Atelier that I really fell like head over heels for. I just thought it was such a unique product and it was so beautiful. And it's almost like the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter where it was like, when do I use this? Like, where do I put this? And this is her super loaded tinted highlight. It is very highlighty. It has a very, very strong metallic sheen, but it is pretty deep as a highlight if you have my skin tone. It's definitely a little bit too deep, but it's also maybe a little bit too light as blush. It definitely is a little bit too peachy for a bronzer. And so that's what I meant when it's sort of like, where do I put this? And I quickly realized that if you just sort of use it in lieu of blush and highlight, and you kind of put it back here and just kind of warm up your face a little bit, it's just so beautiful. You can swipe a little bit on your eyes. It's one of those products that I feel like just put it wherever. Just put it wherever and it kind of works. You can even like tap some onto your lips, like on top of your lipstick, just to give it a little bit of like a metallic sheen if you want, kind of tie everything together. It's just such an interesting product. And she does have two other shades. One is a little bit deeper and warmer, and then one is a little bit lighter and cooler. It's like a little bit more pinky, but this is the original, and I still just love it so much. So that is the Super Loaded Tinted Highlight in Peau de Pêche. Okay, moving on from Westman Atelier, let's talk about Victoria Beckham. Now, I wasn't sure if she had enough products out for me to discuss, but she actually has plenty of products. She's been growing her line pretty slowly, I feel like. But anyway, it's a pretty juicy line now. I just hope she comes out with some like highlights, and you know, she just came out with those bronzers that are beautiful. Anyway, I digress. The first thing I want to mention is definitely very, very new to my collection, and so I was a little hesitant in mentioning it as one of my all-time favorite products, but I am wearing it today. It is her Future Lash Mascara. And I really liked it going on. I thought, okay, it's great. It seems to be like holding my curl better than average. It accentuates like each lash really beautifully. And it definitely is no smudge, which is what it claims. I didn't have any smudging issues. I didn't have any sort of flaking or anything. And what I didn't realize until I washed it off that night is that it's a tubing mascara. And I feel like people either love or hate tubing mascaras. I love them. I just think they're fun. I just feel like, you know, you put some water on your eyelashes and then you can just kind of like rub the mascara off. And, you know, if you don't know that it's a tubing mascara and you just try and wipe it off, you will get bits of the mascara kind of everywhere. So I do like to kind of take my two fingers and just like kind of break it off of my lashes. I feel like I've heard people talk about how tubing mascaras maybe aren't great for your lashes because they do kind of slide off and that can damage your actual eyelashes. I barely have eyelashes. I don't feel like it's done that to my lashes. Like whatever few puny lashes I have, I don't feel like they've been damaged. So I haven't really experienced that with tubing mascaras. I happen to fall into the camp of really, really loving tubing mascara. So I really enjoy this one. And I think it looks great on the lashes and it doesn't smudge. So it's really wonderful. So that's the Future Lash Mascara from Victoria Beckham. And then I want to talk about these lid lusters. So I have three here that I want to talk about, but I didn't want to take up 3 spots. So I'm sitting here trying to figure out which 2 to talk about. Maybe I'll just talk about all 3 and we'll just take up 2 spots with this. Is that cheating? I'm cheating. The first one is Mink. This came out when she first launched her brand. She had this one, the blue one, the black one, and then the blonde one, like the really icy looking one. This one just won me over. It is so, so gorgeous. It's one of those cream products that kind of like, it comes out of the jar like kind of chunky, but as soon as you start to blend it in, all the chunks kind of melt away. All the chunks melt away. That's really gross. So here is Mink. Isn't that just perfection? Isn't that just beautiful? I am in love with this. This one is my favorite out of the 3 that I'm going to be talking about. So that is Mink. The next 2 actually are the 2 newer ones that she came out with. So this one is Honey. So this one has like a gold warmer tone to it, and it's not quite as sparkly as the Mink. I don't know if you can see all that kind of glitter in there. The Honey just has like this really kind of smooth metallic sheen to it. And then the last one I wanted to mention is called Tea Rose, and this came out with Honey. So this is one of the newer ones as well. And Tea Rose is, I would say, more similar to Honey in that it has like a little bit more of a smoother kind of finish to it. It also isn't quite as chunky as Mink or the original 4 that came out, but the Tea Rose does have a few more micro glitters in there. But these are my 3 favorites out of the I think six lid lusters that are available. I just think these are so gorgeous. Perfect, perfect one and done shadows. Of course, I have to talk about the Cell Rejuvenating Priming Moisturizer. I only have golden at the moment, but I did start with her regular, like no tint to it. It has like a little bit of a golden sheen to it. But I've been using golden, which is fantastic for the warmer months when I'm getting a little bit more color, when I'm self-tanning a little bit more. It's one of those primers slash moisturizers with a little bit of tint to it that just kind of perfects your skin a little bit. So if you're feeling good about your skin, like this is all you need. You don't need a foundation or anything. It just, oh, it's like a skin perfector. It's just really, really beautiful. I love the sheen that it has. It's very, very light. I wouldn't go so far as to call this like a liquid highlighter. It just doesn't have that much sheen, but let me just show you a swatch here. There's the moisturizer. So it definitely has a little something to it, but once you get that kind of spread out all over your face, it's not that intense. And so it's just really, really beautiful alone, underneath foundation if you want. It really is a great primer. I have dry skin, so I just love a primer that has moisturizing qualities to it that also, I don't know, just feels like it's kind of protecting my skin. So I've really been loving golden. The original, like no tint priming moisturizer is fantastic as well. Okay, Victoria Beckham. We did the mascara, we did the moisturizer, we did 3 of the lid lusters. So technically we're at 5, but I'm gonna count this as 2 because I'm a cheater. I wanted to mention the Smoky Eye Brick in Silk. I was debating between this one and Tuxedo because I really like Tuxedo. That one is the more like neutral, cool toned one. It has that deep gray in there, that black, it's almost black. But I really love this one. Again, just kind of being the queen of one and done shadows or just eye duos on the lids. This one is just really beautiful. This brown for me is like deep enough to kind of give me dimension if I want. And then all the other shades are great, like one and done shadows. So I really love this. And they all have a beautiful like satin sheen to them. And they're just wonderful, wonderful. Blends beautifully, everything. So those are my 5-6 picks for Victoria Beckham. Let's move on to Natasha Denona. I was actually surprised that I did not talk about Natasha Denona in my first or my second video. I was really surprised. I was like, wait a second. I had to like watch them through again and I couldn't believe it. Anyway, this is going to be very eyeshadow palette heavy, as you can imagine. So I'm gonna start with what I have on my eyes, and I almost forgot about this one, but this is probably one of my all-time, just Natasha Denona and everyone, all-time favorite palettes, and that's the Camel palette. This 5-pan eyeshadow palette is so good. There was like a year in there, I think 2019. Yeah, that would make sense. 2019, where all I did was travel with this one. I just felt like I could do a really kind of simple everyday look. I could amp it up with like the metallic shade here, the satin shade here. It worked for everything. The formula of all the shadows, fantastic. Pigmented, blend beautifully. I love that there's some mattes. I love that there's a satin. I love that there's a metallic. So I have the 3 center shades on my lid. And then I have this pretty much just like deepened up along my lash line. And it's just perfect, perfect. So that's my number 1 for Natasha Denona. I'm gonna break it up. I'm gonna break up this eyeshadow palette list with her lip liners. I love her lip liners. They are creamy. They blend in beautifully. They don't set down where they're too dry. I mean, they do set down, and they do feel a little drier, but nothing unbearable. I love the colors. So she came out with, I think 6 or 8 kind of like nudish shades, and I purchased, I don't know, 3 or 4. I literally just reach my hand in and just grab a Natasha Denona liner, and it pretty much works. So today I grabbed Julia, and I do think Julia is the one that I use the most. That's what I have on my lips right now. I use it as liner. I use it as liner, and then I fill in, and then I put a gloss over it, which is what I did today. I'll use it just a little bit to contour. So I hope she comes out with more shades, even though, you know, she just comes out with more nudes. I would get those too, even though I feel like it's very well covered territory at this point, but I just love them. The formula and the colors are just fantastic. All right, first we're gonna talk about my favorite large Natasha Denona palette, and that is the 28-pan green brown palette. I love this. I hope this never becomes discontinued, even though I feel like I'm starting to not see this online, which makes me very nervous. Not that I'll ever ever get through this entire palette, but it's really just everything. The two outside columns are the more brown shades, and then the three in the middle are the green shades. And I love green, so if I had to choose like a colored, you know, or more excitingly colored eyeshadow, I would go for green. So this really speaks to me. Obviously, we have all of my very basic, boring self eyeshadow colors here, all of like the taupes and the browns. She's got cooler ones here, warmer ones here. The palette's laid out beautifully. The formula in here, I do think, is a little bit different than her newer palettes. They all just seem a little bit, in terms of pigmentation, they all just seem a little bit less intense. And that suits me just fine. Again, my makeup is very soft, so I really enjoy this palette. This is another one, like the Camel palette, that's just one of my all-time favorite eyeshadow palettes. In fact, I'm going to say that about all of the eyeshadow palettes I'm about to talk about. So that is one. And then going down one size to the large palette, the $129 palette, this is the Biba palette. And this, you know, you guys know me. This is a dream palette of mine. Again, love the formula, love the colors. The shades in here are fairly warm, the top two rows, and then this bottom row is fairly cool. And, you know, again, she's got just a nice array of different finishes. She has some metallics, she has her creamy mattes, she has some of her creamy powder shadows in here, which I happen to enjoy. And it's just lovely. They're just lovely. And again, I find that there's plenty of one and done shadows in here, and then there's plenty of like duos that I can like create out of this palette. So that's the Biba palette. And then last but not least, I'm sure you can guess, is the Midi Glam palette. So this is the $65 size. And this is just a neutral lover's dream. This is such a wonderful palette. For the longest time after the 28 pan palette, the Camel palette, the Biba palette was like my baby. I loved it. Now it's the Glam palette. This is one that I would definitely take with me on a trip if I knew I had to do some eye looks. Just gorgeous. Again, full of one and done shadows, and I just love it. All the metallics in here too are just so creamy and smooth. They just apply beautifully. Love this one. So that's the Glam palette. So those are the 5 Natasha Denona favorites. The Camel, these three, told you, very eyeshadow heavy, and then her lip liners, just love them. All right, last but not least, we're gonna talk about NARS. And again, another brand I was like, I haven't talked about NARS yet? Wow, okay. We're gonna kick it off with what I have on my cheeks, which is a NARS blush. Now, like I said, I didn't wanna just say NARS blush, any of them, pick any of them up, you're fine. I wanted to give you the actual shade that I personally love. And there is one shade, actually, this shade Alana Davison turned me onto, which is the NARS Madly, but I believe that has been discontinued. I don't know if that's some vicious rumor just meant to hurt me. I feel attacked, but I wasn't sure and I didn't want to mention it. So I am wearing like one of my newer favorites from NARS, and that is Taj Mahal. Now, I hauled this a while ago and I just haven't been able to use it in like a trying new makeup video because there's been other blush options. I always have a ton of blush options, of course, because I love blush. But this color, I was so intrigued by, and NARS was actually kind enough in sending this to me. And that's what I have on my cheeks today. It is such the perfect shade for that summertime bronzy heat in your cheeks. And it really is, it's fairly deceptive. It looks so orange in the pan, but once you get it on the cheeks, it really just looks like a flush. I don't think you look at me and think, wow, she's got orange blush on. I think it has enough of a golden sheen. It's mixed, you know, it's mixed in kind of with like my bronzer. I have that Westman Atelier highlight on top, and it just works. It just works so beautifully. I am in love with this blush now, the Taj Mahal blush. So this is the like one color I wanted to make sure that I mentioned, but I love NARS blushes. They are, I don't think I've come across one that I don't like. Actually, the only shade that I don't like is the really popular one, Orgasm. I don't like Orgasm. It just doesn't work for my skin tone for some reason. just doesn't look right on my cheeks. Anyway, that's the only color that I don't like. All of the other shades I love. Okay, next is a product that is probably going to surprise you because I have not used this in a long time, but it is the only one that I enjoy using, the only one in its category that I enjoy using, but that is their tinted smudge-proof eyeshadow base. I have it in the shade Light. I remember picking this up when they only had just like a clear version. And I was like, this is okay. When they came out with the tinted, for some reason, the tinted ones had a little bit of a different texture. They just seemed a little bit easier to apply. I like eyeshadow primers that have like a little bit of tack, not too much, a little bit of tack and a little bit of smoothing, kind of like right in between. And so I love it. This is the only eyeshadow base that I think I have left in my collection because I got rid of all the other ones because I loved this one so much. So I wanted to mention this. I know this is strange because I never ever really use an eyeshadow base, but if I had to, this is the one. The next NARS product I wanted to mention is one that appeared, I think, in my last favorites. It is their Pure Radiant Tinted Moisturizer. They extended their shade range and they sent out PR packages, and so I was able to try it. And I love it. I was like, why haven't I tried this? It falls into my wheelhouse too. It's a light coverage. It has SPF. It's really just sort of a tinted moisturizer / tinted SPF. All these things I love. I really don't know why it took me so long to try it. Anyway, I use the shade 1.2 Gotland, which I think may be a little bit too light for me now that I've been self-tanning. But generally this is the shade that works for me. And it's wonderful. It just has a creamy texture. It goes on beautifully. It has a mixture of chemical and physical sunscreens, so there's no white cast. It doesn't oxidize. It doesn't do anything weird because I think it has that mix in there. And it just sits really beautifully on the skin. And it's great. It's great for my dry skin. I really, really love this. Okay, this is weird, but the next NARS product I want to talk about, I don't actually have. I decluttered them because they were too old. But it is the multiple stick. So these are those sticks. They can be highlighters. Some of them are a little bit deeper. Do they still make these? I hope so. Some of them are a little bit deeper, so you can use them as blush. So this product for me is incredibly nostalgic. It's the only makeup I wore on my first date with my now husband. So I have like the biggest soft spot in my heart for the NARS multiple stick, and Copacabana, if I had to choose a shade, Copacabana for sure. And like I said, it's just this really kind of pearly, kind of cool toned shade. It has a little bit of pink in there, a little bit, I want to say lilac. Am I remembering that correctly? Like a little pink, a little lilac. And the multiple sticks, because you're supposed to be able to use them in multiple areas, your eyes, lips, cheeks, they have kind of like a powdery kind of feel and finish to them. They're actually fairly unique for a stick product. Now I feel like stick products are all fairly emollient. They're very smooth. A lot of them feel like there's a lot of silicones in there, like they're very slick. The multiple stick is not like that. It definitely has a bit more of like a powderiness to it. Anyway, I wanted to mention that because, like I said, it's just so nostalgic. I'm sad that I don't have any. I was kind of just digging through my cream blush drawer and I was like, how do I not have not a one. Anyway, so that is number 4 on my list for NARS. And last but not least for NARS, this was tough. I had a few things kind of jockeying for this number 5 position, but I decided to go with the Audacious lipstick. I have the shade Augustine, which was part of the Claudette collection. I love the shade. It's like this beautiful nude. I hope this is still available. I do believe this entire collection was limited edition. Anyway, I was very, very gun shy about trying NARS lipsticks because way back in the day, 95, 96, I had very, very bad eczema all over my face, and the multiple stick was fine. And I remember getting one of the NARS lipsticks and it brought out the eczema on my upper lip. So I just never really ever tried NARS lipsticks after that. I mean, it literally has been, I don't know, 25 years. Anyway, they sent this to me in PR, and so I was like, let me just try it. It's been so long. And many of you always comment like, what about the NARS Audacious lipsticks? And I'm like, I don't know if I should try them. I don't want it to bring out my eczema. Anyway, I tried this. It's fine. It doesn't bring out my eczema. Of course, the formula has changed in the past 25 years. So I love it. Creamy, pigmented. This, again, the shade Augustine is so beautiful. It's like one of the perfect nudes in my collection. So I just wanted to mention that and just give you a little bit of background and history that I have with NARS. I hope I didn't bore you too much. All right, well that is it. 5 more favorite products from 5 more of my favorite brands. I hope you guys enjoyed this one as much as you enjoyed the other ones. A big thank you to Alana Davison for shouting me out again and again. If you are over here from her channel, welcome. I hope you consider subscribing, and please let me know any other brands that you want me to talk about down below in the comment section. I think that's it for me. I've done this 3 times, so I've done 15 brands, but let me know if you think I've missed something. And I will link the other videos down below in my description box as well. Anyway, I will see you guys in my next video.